Great day, kings and queens. Yeah, welcome to another conversation with Drew. This is a terrific Tuesday. It truly is humbling to be able to come before you guys and share this gift with you guys. It's truly a blessing to be able to share the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that I've gained through my experiences and through the experiences of others. Also through studying, that's causing me to become the best version of myself, in hopes that what I share with you kings and queens this morning causes you to become the best version of yourself. Again, this is a terrific Tuesday. I hashtag this one, entitled this one, God is Love. It's so important that we understand this concept. It's so important that we understand what a concept is. A concept is an idea, a thought, that has been conceived into something that we need in order to understand an idea or the thought of the original thought. A concept is something that we truly need in life in order for us to become the best version of ourselves. So God is love. Why did I title that this? Title this that. I've been, I'm always in my research game. I'm always studying, and what I recognize is that, we do not understand, who God is, and it's so hard for us to understand us. And we have to understand the manufacturer. We have to understand our birthplace, our birthright. We have to understand where we come from in order for us to truly understand who we are, and again, God is love. And I know we heard that over the years, and I know many of us have been raised on believing that, but a lot of us have never been taught what that truly means, the depth of it. And so as I was studying, it allowed me to really understand, how everything works and why things are the way that they are. And it blessed my mind, it blessed my soul to understand that, God truly is love. God is energy. Energy was never created, therefore energy can never be destroyed. When you understand, God, the Godhead, the Father, the Word, or the Son, and the Holy Spirit, you have to understand how powerful that is. And God knew that even in all of that creation, with God being love, that God could not be all one, meaning that God could not be alone. And you have to understand how powerful that is. And I didn't understand that until now, but it made life make sense. It made everything make sense to understand that God is love. And so it is so powerful when you truly understand the significance of this, because as God created everything, as He created the heavens, as He created, His kingdom, as He created even, His beings that worship, as we know them as angels, God did not have the very thing that was necessary for the fulfillment of love. The strongest component of love is love needs to be shared. It needs to be given, right? And so again, when you understand that God is love, he doesn't have love. He is the totality of it. So when He created the heavens, understand this, kings and queens, that it automatically gave Him rulership. It automatically made Him a ruler, automatically made Him king. So He had all of this power, He had all of this authority, but He had no one to share it with. Again, in order for love to be fulfilled, it has to be shared and it has to be given. And see, this is why you have to understand this concept, because it allows you to know how great you are. It allows you to know how valuable you are. It allows you to know the true essence of who you are when I say that God is love, right? So here it is, you have this being, you have this deity. Again, He's the Father, the Word or thought or Son, and the Holy Ghost. He's three in one, but they're not separate. They're all one, right? But it's still the law of love could not be fulfilled, because the strongest component of love is that it has to be shared and it has to be given. That's what love is. That is the totality of it. It has to be shared and it has to be given. Well, the Father didn't have anyone to share and give this with. Again, angels was only created to worship. They were not created in the same image and likeness. You have to understand this concept to understand how valuable you are. So then He had to create children. He had to create us. Because again, the strongest component of love is that it has to be shared and it has to be given. So He had to create us in order for this love to be fulfilled, right? But the thing is this, right? When you understand the concept of a kingdom, when you have a kingdom, kings and queens, this is how valuable you are. When I understood this, life really exploded for me, right? This is how valuable you are. When you have a king, right? A king is a king, right? He's the king of his territory. He's the king of his domain. So when the Father created the heavens, he was the automatic king of his territory, the king of his domains. That means the 500 million galaxies and also the invisible realm that we cannot see, right? He automatically became king. He automatically became ruler of that domain, right? So when he created us to fulfill love, again, love cannot be fulfilled until it is shared and it is given. So that's why we had to be birthed, right? That's why we had to be created. Understand this, kings and queens. But again, he could not express that with us being in him. He could not express that with us being in him in heaven. It could not work. So he had to create another territory for us to dwell in. He had to create another territory again for us to share that power, that authority, and love. Again, we could not do that with him in heaven. He had to create another territory, right? When you understand the kingdom concept, when a king has a son, that son is the heir. That son is called the prince. Prince means principal or first in line, right? So he had to create he only can have a prince, right? A son can never become a king until the father dies. So in order for the son to experience that power, in order for the son to experience that authority, a son can't experience that authority as long as the father is living. For example, something that we can relate to now in this time, that's just like Queen Elizabeth. We know about Prince Charles. Prince Charles is old as dust. But Prince Charles will never be able to experience being called King Charles. That's why they're prepping Prince Harry and his brother right now, because Prince Charles will never be able to experience that because Queen Elizabeth will not die. You understand me? So a prince or a princess can never experience the true power and authority of their kingship or their queenship as long as the king is still alive, or as long as the queen is is still alive. The only way that they can experience that is if the king step aside or if the queen step aside, right? But the thing is that God will never die. But the alternative route is when a king takes over a territory and then places his son or daughter over that territory, and they become king and queen over that territory. So understand this, that the Father was so loving. He was so loving, and he understood that the principle of love, the law of love, could not be expressed and fulfilled until it was shared and given. He knew that he had to allow us to experience that same authority, that same power, that same purpose, but we could not do that in him in heaven. So he created the earth. He created the physical realm, and he sent us into the earth as his children, as reflections, as examples of him, to make earth look like heaven. But the only way that love can be fulfilled again is it had to be shared and be given. So he shared it with us when he placed us in earth. This is what you have to understand, the value of who you are, kings and queens. This is not some made-up theory, some made-up concept. It cancels out the Big Bang Theory, because you are not an accident. You are not an experiment. You were purposed to do something great in life. But again, you could not do that in God in heaven. You only can do that and be the expression of true love in the earth realm. This is what's causing you to be so great. This is why it's so innate and so organic for us to love. Because in order for love to be fulfilled, God knew that he could not keep us in him. He said it's not good for man to be alone. Put another L next to all, and when you spell alone, it's A-L-O-N-E. Put another L behind that L, and you see A-L-L-O-N-E. It's not good for man to be all one. He knew that. He knew that concept. It wasn't good for him to be all one. That's why he created us, because again, love cannot be fulfilled unless it's shared and given. So he knew that it wasn't good for him to be all one. So he had to create his children. He had to create us. And that's why he then said it's not good for man to be all one or to be alone. And he created Eve. So that's why you desire love the way you do. That's why you desire power and authority over your circumstances and situations and your destiny the way you do. That's why you desire to give love the way that you do and receive love the way that you do, because the principle and the law of love cannot be fulfilled as long as you're all one. as long as everything, all the power, all life, all situation is you and you alone. You have to be able to share this with somebody. You have to be able to give it and express it with another. But that's how powerful you are, because not only were you sent into the earth to fulfill the law of love, but you were sent into the earth with a purpose to fulfill the assignment from heaven. You were sent here as a king, as a queen, to have to have power and authority over your gifting, over your area of gifting. You have so much authority inside of you, kings and queens, that I had to understand this. And when I understood that God was all one, and God knew that he could not fulfill the law of love. God is love. He doesn't have love. He is love. He knew that he could not fulfill the law of love, because the law of love can only be fulfilled by sharing and giving it. That is it. And he knew that. He was all one. He was the Father, he was the Thought, and he was the Holy Spirit. But he knew that that wasn't good enough, that it could not be fulfilled. And so he created us, his children. But again, he wanted us to share in that power. He wanted us to share in that authority. And so he created a territory for us to have dominion over. That's why you have to understand how valuable you are. You're not here as an assignment. As an experiment. You're not here as an accident. That's why that whole thing of the Big Bang Theory, this crazy theology, they want you to believe that you came from some ooze, you were an accident. They want you to believe that you came from a tadpole that became a salamander, that became a monkey, that became a human being. Why? Because then that diminishes the value of your purpose. Then that takes the value of who you are. Your love that's inside of you is organic. It's authentic. You were created out of it. So when you wrap that love in your purpose, when you wrap that love around your smile, when you wrap that love around your greeting, when you wrap that love around your parenting, when you wrap that love around your service, when you wrap that love around a hug that you give somebody, when you wrap that love truly around who you are, you begin to express the magnitude, the maximum potential of what you were created to do. You were created to give love, because the law of love cannot be fulfilled unless it's shared and given. So that's why your purpose is so valuable. That's why your life is so valuable, because you are the fulfillment of love. Let me say that again. The law and a purpose of love cannot be fulfilled unless it is shared and given, and we know that God is love. So you are literally the expression and the fulfillment of love, because God was all one. God was the Father, he was the Thought, and he is the Holy Spirit. He was all one. He was alone. But he knew that that was not the fulfillment of love. So in order for him to be able to fulfill love, he created you. But he created you with a purpose, because every manufacturer creates every product with a purpose. He created you to come into this earth realm and be the expression and the fulfillment of love. Period, point blank. That's why hatred is so cancerous. That's why hatred is such a disease, because when it begins to spread, not only is it killing the person that it's being given to, but it's also killing the person that it was given. Who's giving it, because you were created in love. You were created to be the expression and fulfillment of love. Therefore, you're supposed to be the same examples. He said, be imitators of God, dear children. You're supposed to literally give love. You're literally supposed to share love. Why? Because you were created to fulfill it. You literally were created to fulfill the perfect law of love. That's how great you are. That's how magnificent you are. That's how purposeful you are. He said you were fearfully and wonderfully made. The reason why I'm giving you these laws is because you have to understand. Fearfully means this. You know how you have an artist, right? An exceptional artist. They operate not in fear in the sense of messing up. They operate in fear in the sense of, I want this project to be so perfect. I want this art to be so perfect. I want this thing to be so perfect that I have this thing in the back of my mind that I have to operate in perfection. You were fearfully made, wonderfully made, meaning that you're full of wonder. Meaning that when people see you, they're supposed to be, and they're supposed to see wonder, because you're full of wonder. When they see you, they're supposed to say, wow. because you were created again to be the fulfillment of love, to be the expression of love. So when I get on this and I fulfill my purpose by using my gift, by speaking truth, by speaking the knowledge that I was given, by speaking the revelation truth, the wisdom that I was giving, I am fulfilling love. I am being the expression of love. Why? That's why you feel the energy as I speak and we're not even in the same room. That's why it feels so good to hear this knowledge and this understanding and we're not even in the same room. Because what I am doing and what I'm expressing is the fulfillment and the expression of true love. Because I'm operating in my purpose. I am literally giving you my gift. You have the same exact thing, kings and queens, because again, the fulfillment of love cannot be fulfilled unless it is shared and it is given. We were in God. It says that we were in him before the foundation of the earth was laid. And so he had to get us out of him, send us to a territory where we can become kings and queens over the area of gifting by expressing by fulfilling our purpose. And then we are literally the expression. We are literally the fulfillment of love, because love cannot be all one. Love just can't be in you and not shared and given, or you are not fulfilling the law of love. That's how great you are. I'm telling you, man, listen, I research this stuff because I want people to know truth. I research these things because I know the value of each and every human being in this earth, regardless of ethnicity, regardless of religious beliefs, regardless of region, regardless of country. The reality of it is that we were all in God, period. We were all in God. It doesn't matter your dirt suit. Get over yourself. We were all in God. God was all one. But he knew that in order to fulfill the law of love, that he had to share it and he had to give it. The God of heaven knew that about you. He knew that he needed to send you to a different realm in order to fulfill the law of love. That's how valuable you are. That's how precious you are. That's how priceless you are. But he just didn't send you into the earth realm literally to just express and fulfill love. He sent you here with a purpose, because a king can only tell other kings and queens to have dominion, to have power, to have kingdom, to have authority in this earth realm. That's why we call Michael Jackson the king of pop, Aretha Franklin the queen of soul, Elvis the king of rock and roll, Bill Gates the king of technology. Why? Because what's inside of you, when you understand that you are to wrap it in love, everything that you do, I don't care if it's fitness, I don't care if it's technology, I don't care if it's art, I don't care if it's poetry, I don't care if it's parenting, I don't care if it's just giving somebody a hug and a smile just to encourage them. When you wrap that thing in love, you are fulfilling the true law of love, because that is what you were designed to do. That's what you were created to do. That's why it feels so organic. That's why when you give that to somebody and you share that with somebody, not only does it impact their lives, but it impacts your life. But it doesn't even stop there, because once you give that and share that with somebody, it motivates and encourages them to then go give somebody else that love. That's how powerful it is, man. Understand your value, kings and queens, this morning. Understand where you come from, kings and queens, this morning. Understand the cup of eminence that you were poured from this morning. We were created literally in God. It says God is love. I'm telling you, love is something that cannot be destroyed. Love conquers all. When you understand that you were created out of that, to fulfill that, you just weren't created out of that and then just given no purpose, no reason to exist, no intent of living. You were created out of that to then become the fulfillment and the expression of that through your purpose. I know it's a lot of information, but man, I do this studying, man, because I want people to know the truth. You have one life to live. You only live once. That is the absolute truth. You have one life to live. So while you're here, why not maximize your potential? Why not become the greatest version of yourself? Why not impact and influence lives all over the world? Literally, this is how powerful you are, right? My friend Murph, right? He's in his 60s, older Caucasian man. This is how powerful you are. And this is why I do what I do, right? He's been telling me for the last about 2 weeks that he was having to go into and get this surgery done on his back. They said that they found cancer, melanoma. They found cancer on his back, right? This is how powerful love is. I met this man, I want to say no less than about a year ago, and we just, have this bond because we both love boxing, right? And we've watched, many boxing matches together. And this year, maybe about 2 years, about a year and a half, right? This is how powerful your purpose is. Because all I am is a vessel. That's what I understand. I'm a vessel to express and fulfill the law of love through my purpose and through my gifts, right? And so he's been telling me this for the last 2 weeks. He's like, man, Drew, just pray for me. You know what I mean? I just believe in your relationship with God. Just pray for me, man. And so he was due to go and get the surgery done yesterday, on Monday, right? And so we had talked Sunday. He was just like, man, just send one up for me. I go in about 2 o'clock. This is how powerful you are. I'm telling you, man, this is not made up stuff, man. This stuff is real, right? And so as Monday rolled around, I get home from the gym. Matter of fact, I prayed for him Monday morning, right? Prayed for him that God's will be done. Whatever his will is, that is done. I have no control over that, right? So I prayed for him Monday morning. I got home from the gym about 1:30, 1:45, started making my lunch, and I recognized that it was a little bit after 2 o'clock. So I text him, you know what I mean, that I'm praying with you, Murph, right? Mind you, again, this has nothing to do with race. I'm an African-American male. He's a European-American male. It has nothing to do with race. Has nothing to do with age. I'm 33 years old. He's somewhere in his mid-60s, later 60s, right? Has nothing to do with any of that. This is how powerful you are, right? So I text him, and, I'm just saying, I'm praying with you, right? But I feel this overwhelming sensation in my spirit to call him and pray with him, right? This is how powerful it is. But I'm like, nah, it's after 2 o'clock. I'm pretty sure he's been called back. He said his appointment was at 2 o'clock for them to do this surgery, remove this piece of cancer that's on his back. They've already identified it and classified it as melanoma, as cancer, right? He told me that this is some of the worst skin cancer you can have, if not the worst skin cancer, right? This is how powerful you are, and why I say you are the expression of love and the fulfillment of love. I got this overwhelming sensation that I was supposed to call him and pray with him, right? I just feel the presence of God on me. I'm just like, nah, I'm pretty sure he's already back there, you know what I mean, going through the surgeries. So I'm just sending that text. And long and behold, right, he texts me back. And he say, well, I'm just sitting here waiting. I'm just sitting here waiting, for them to call me back, but I haven't went back yet. Now, mind you, this is about 2:15, 2:30 at this point, right? So I'm just like, come on, man. So I'm sitting there and I'm eating my lunch. I'm like, nah, I ain't gonna call him. I'm gonna just pray right here. You know what I mean? Send a prayer up from right here, but it's just so overwhelming. So I finish my lunch and I call him, and he answers the phone on the last call, right? He answers the phone, and I'm like, Murph, it was just perfect because, I was just led to pray with you. So I end up praying with him, right? And when we're done praying, he's like, man, Drew, those wasn't your words. He was like, man, he said, I just feel so good now. He was like, those weren't your words though. He was like, man, it was just so powerful. So I was like, man, just hit me back when after everything go through. So I'm sitting there. It's about 3:30 at this point. He texts me in all caps, no cancer. I'm going to say that one more time, kings and queens. They had already classified and stated that this is cancer, that it is melanoma. We need to cut this thing out. He texts me back after the surgery that in that chunk that they took out, there was no cancer, no signs of cancer. They said usually when you have melanoma in your skin, after they cut something out, that inside they still have to go and dig stuff out because there's still traces of it in there that they need to get out. The doctor said that after we cut it out and we looked in, there was no even reason to scrape down in there because there was no signs of cancer. Now, mind you, listen, man, I'm just the vessel. Ain't nothing special about Drew. I'm simply the vessel. But because I understand purpose, because I understand that I'm here to fulfill a purpose and that I have certain gifts, because I understand that we all have the same thing, I was able to be used as a vessel That's what you have to understand, kings and queens, that you are here on an assignment as an expression and fulfillment of love through your purpose and your giftings. You're not here as an accident. Forget that Big Bang bullcrap. Forget that experimental bullcrap. You are here as a divine assignment on a purpose, and you can do special things like this. You can do marvelous things like this, miraculous things like this, because that's why you were created. That's why you were created. So when you understand this, you get this confidence, this overwhelming sensation of confidence that what's inside of you is so great that you can literally be the prayer. You can literally be the vessel that the prayer goes through that literally removes cancer in a matter of minutes. In a matter of minutes. Because you were created and you were assigned to do this. You are not an accident. God is love, but God was all one. Literally all one. The Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost, he was all one. Those are not three different gods. They're one God. He was all one. Holy means one. He was self-sufficient, self-sustaining God. But literally, kings and queens, he knew that he could not fulfill the law of love until it was shared and it was given. But he also wanted to share his authority, his power with you. And as a king, he knew that if you stayed in him, if you stayed in heaven, that you will only be prince and princesses. So he had to create a territory, a domain called earth, and send you to that realm and put you in a dirt suit so you can have authority in this natural earth realm. And so you can carry that same power, that same authority, that same love to literally be an expression and fulfillment of love. That's how great you are, through your purpose and through your gifts. I'm not saying these things or sharing these things to make you believe that I'm something special. I just know that something special is inside of me because I have the special sauce of my Father inside of me. I'm telling you, kings and queens, you're that valuable. You're that great. You were literally created to fulfill love. Love cannot be all one, and the Father knew that. That's why he said to Adam, it is not good for that man to be alone. Again, put another L behind A-L, and you have all one. He needs to fulfill what I needed to fulfill. He needs to be exactly what I created him to be. You cannot be all one. You were created to share love. So share love today with a hug. Share love today with a hello. Share love today with a thank you. Share love today being a parent. Share love today in your gift. Share love today because you were created to be the expression of God, who is love, the totality of it, the fullness of it. But he knew that he could not be all one. So he had to create you and get you out of him, send you to this earth realm to share in that same dominion, to share in that same authority, to share in that same power, to share in that same purpose, to share in that same love. Thank you, kings and queens, for tuning in. Remember, it's not a look, it's a lifestyle, because we do this every day, not to impress people, but to leave an impression on the earth. I ask everyone to share this video. Just hit the share button at the bottom. It'll go to your page. If you want to add people, I appreciate that as well. But understand who you are. You're here for a divine purpose, to be the fulfillment and the expression of love. But in order for you to do that, you have to share and you have to give it. I love you, kings and queens. I know that you will have a terrific Tuesday, regardless of the weather, wherever you are, snowstorms, ice, chills, fresh air, doesn't matter. Be great today. In order to be great, you have to find your purpose, discover your purpose, and fulfill that purpose. But even if you don't know what that is right now, just give love today with a hug, with a smile, with a thank you, with a how are you doing? I'm telling you, you're that valuable and you're that great. Thank you for everybody who donated. Thank you for those who desire to donate and may not be able to. But if you can, hit me up in the messenger so I can give you some instructions. I love you, kings and queens. Peace.